Here we're identifying different parts of the business cycle. Starting with part A, we have our high point. And that's going to exist, which makes sense graphically, at these high points of this line. This line right here being our cycle that we're working with. Okay, this is the business cycle. And the straight line, white line that we have going through it, this is our steady growth line. So what that tells us is just if the economy were to grow at a steady rate, it would look just like that straight line, just a horizontal line with the same slope. But at this point, we're looking at the high points, okay? Because we know the business cycle, it doesn't occur as steady growth. We see ups and downs, ebbs and flows, right? So at this high point here, we have the peak. That's when the economy is doing really, really well. Part B, we get to this low point, which is going to exist graphically at the bottom. And this here is called the trough. Now this is the opposite of the peak. This is when the economy is doing as poorly as it could be doing. Part C here, the period between high and low, that makes sense to look at it as the point between the peak and the trough, right? Somewhere in here. Now this is going to depend, its name at least, depends upon where we're at. If we are above the steady growth line, we're experiencing a recession. The economy is in a downturn. It's not growing. It's actually experiencing a little bit of slower growth. But at the point where we drop below that steady growth line, we get into a depression. That's when we have negative growth. The economy is doing really, really bad and it's on its way to the trough. However, if we are between low and high, we are between the trough and the next peak. That would be up here. And again, this depends upon which side of the steady growth line we fall on. If we are below the steady growth line, the economy is considered to be in recovery. So that is, the economy is not at its trough. It's starting to improve, but it's still not great. It hasn't surpassed that steady growth line. However, once we do surpass that, the economy is considered to be in expansion, which is good news. That means the economy is on its way back towards the peak. And this overall image that we have right here explains to us how the business cycle ebbs and flows and as it changes relative to its steady growth rate.